So I've seen that there are basically two camps uh, that go at each other about identity. There's one camp that says there are only two genders, and races are very concrete things, genders are very concrete things, and any attempt to try to wiggle in that or to change that is just, is all invalid. And another group says that there are infinite numbers of genders and everyone's personal identity is valid, and whatever social identity you have for yourself is okay. You do you, and these two camps don't seem to be able to agree on much of anything. So I see my social identity as a dance with society, between me and society in general. If I can get society to recognize some element of my identity, then that element is valid in that society. The more I want to go out of the norms of what society is ready to engage me with, the more difficult the time is going to be for me to try to get society to recognize me. For example, if I tried to get society to identify me as a senior citizen and then collect my social security benefits, society would be, no, we're not going to recognize you as a senior citizen. You cannot get your social security benefits starting now. They have their own definition. Everyone has agreed on a definition of what that means, and they're not going to accept me just saying that I'm that. But it doesn't mean that those definitions are so strict and hard and unmoving. If I could convince society at large to respect some element of my identity, and for laws and customs and things to include it, then that would be okay. If we're going to recognize that transgender is a real thing, then okay. Then, so that needs to be a working with society, not a pointing the finger at society and saying, we're going to pass laws that if you don't recognize this identity, then that's it. We're going to bring the full force of the government down upon you. You have to recognize. That's not the way that it works. You, through having a moral high ground, having good argumentation, and through engaging with society, convince society that there are more than two genders, or that a biological male can transition into a female and vice versa, and you engage with society until it agrees with you, and then guess what? There are new genders, and biological men can become female and biological females can become males, and there you go. That is the new status quo, and everyone accepts it, but you don't do it by force. You don't do it by force, and this is a problem that I see. Anyone who's like, I don't want society to accept that. It just makes things too complicated, and it blurs everything up. Those people are painted as evil and, Nazis. And no, you haven't convinced them yet. So go about convincing them in a polite and, way, because there's also a group of people that say that they're cats. There's a lot of people that identify as cats. And should the government mandate laws to accommodate people who identify as cats? No, I think no. I hope no. And so they will most likely fail to influence society to accept their identity. But society is under no burden to accept anyone's identity. What if my identity is that I'm incredibly smart and correct about everything, and now you have to believe that? What if my identity is that I'm black? And even then, what exactly is black, right? Black is What is black is a social construct. Not that there aren't differences, real differences in populations around the world. I'm sure that the sub-Saharan African population has certain traits that you can probably identify if you're looking at DNA samples, certain diseases that affect this particular population more than another population. Like, it's a real population, but what exactly is black is a social construct. What we define as black is a social construct. And for me to say that I am black, I would have to negotiate that with society, where they would then accept that I'm black. I don't see that happening. But, negotiate your identity. You're not an identity dictator, and you get to tell everyone else what your identity is, and they have to simply just accept it. And laws need to be passed, and you can be punished if you don't accept my subjective identity of who I mean, it's so ridiculous. Please, people, let's try to be mature about this. And to that extent, stop with the forcing people to use words. Create your own words, create your own first-person pronouns. Leave I for everyone who wants to use I. Come up with your own first-person pronouns, which express to people what gender you are. Maybe if you're a cat person, you can come up with your own first-person pronoun. You are a male, and then when you refer to yourself, you say, male think that we should go to the beach on holiday. And then everyone will go, oh, they're a cat person. And if you can get society to accept that you're a cat person, then guess what? You're now a cat person. Try that using your own words that you speak, that you create, and see if you can get people to recognize them. Don't go around telling everyone that your third-person pronoun is meow, and they can no longer call you he, they must call you meow. Otherwise, the government's going to come down on them like a ton of bricks, and they're going to be fined because they didn't respect your identity. Anyway, that's all I want to say there. That identity is basically a dance that you do with society, and it's not polite to go up to someone and ask them to dance with you and remind them that if they don't, there's someone over in the corner with a gun that's going to shoot them. Thank you for listening. See you next time.